second grade, today we're going to be working on arrays. So far with multiplication, we've been working on equal groups pictures. That's where you draw the circles and you put a certain number of items into each group. Arrays are another way to show multiplication problems. So in arrays, we have our rows, and then we have a number of items in each row. Today we're going to be working on squares first. Our multiplication problem for this array is 2 times 4. Our first number, 2, tells us how many rows there are. 1, 2. Our second number tells us how many squares we need to put in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is an array that shows 2 times 4, or 2 rows of 4. And 2 times 4 equals 8. And if we've done our array correctly, we should have 8 squares in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our second array has 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. It has 4 tiles or 4 squares in each row. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the multiplication problem that we will write for this array is 3 times 4. Now I can go through and count to see how many tiles there are, or I can use my multiplication facts to help me figure out the answer. If I count up my groups of 3s or my groups of 4, I can count 4, 8, 12, or I could count 3, 6, 9, 12, and either way I'm going to get the same answer. So again, this problem is 3 times 4 equals 12, or another way of saying it when you're working with arrays is 3 rows of 4 equals 12. Our last array that we have up here, we just have a small array. I have 2 rows, 1, 2, and I have 2 in each row, 1, 2. So my problem is going to say 2 times 2, and that of course equals 4. On lesson 121 for math, you have a worksheet that looks like this with these little grids of squares. And I'm going to talk about how to complete that paper. So these look like arrays right now, but what you're going to do is you're going to be shading in a specific array for each one. So I've drawn the picture of what letter A looks like. The array that we're going to find for letter A is going to be 2 times 3, or the other way to say it is 2 rows of 3. So how I do this on the worksheet is my first number is going to tell me the number of rows. So I know I'm going to do 1, 2 rows, and I'm going to trace those first 2 squares. The second number tells me how many squares are in each row. So I need 3 squares in each row. I've already traced the first one, so 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to do my second row. Already done the first one, 1, 2, 3, and then once I'm all done tracing them, I'm going to go back and just shade in those squares, and that's what you'll do on your paper as well. And now we have our 2 times 3 array. And then next to my problem, I'm going to write the answer to that problem, which if I count 3 plus 3, or 2, 4, 6, I'm going to get 6 as my answer. For problem B, you're going to find an array that shows 4 times 2, so 4 rows of 2. And for problem C, you're going to find an array that shows 3 times 5, or 3 rows of 5. So for each one of those problems, you're going to shade in the correct amount of squares and then write the answer to each problem, and you can write that problem just right next to the letter. And then the last thing I want to talk about is on today's lesson, we've only used squares, but arrays don't always just have squares. So let's say I have a problem that says 2 times 5. My first number is always going to tell me the amount of rows. I know that I have 2 rows. The second number shows me how many are in each row. I have 5 in each row. So I can make an array with really any shape. So let's say I want to use stars, 2 rows of 5. I can make my first row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to make my second row. The only thing to remember is to keep it nice and neat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that 2 times 5 or 5 plus 5 equals 10. So now that array is done. Let's do another one. Let's do 4 times 3. So 4 is going to tell me my rows, so 4 rows with 3 in each row. So this time I'm just going to use circles. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 rows so far. I need 1 more. 1, 2, 3. I have 4 rows now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 in each row. 1, 2, 3. And 4 times 3 is 12. So that is how you do arrays.